Now, if you guys can see, this is swelling up. I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see this swell up. Yes?
So you're just injecting that into the fat there? You're not injecting it?
Not injecting it to the meat. It'll discolor the meat if you inject it into the meat. The only reason I don't do that is because it doesn't look good. And if it doesn't look good, it doesn't taste good, right? Now, when you get this thing full, it's going to tell you because it's going to squirt back out at you. Then, you know, I'll even try to hit some on the ends. There's a bone in all your pork butts. There's a big bone in there. Yep, it's starting to squirt back at me.
What is tender quick?
Tender quick, it's kind of like a sodium nitrate. It's a
Cure.
It's a cure. Like I use, if I'm doing summer sausage, I won't throw it on a refrigerator. I use more tender quick on it. It's just like any of your sausages that you buy, even your hot dogs that you buy, they all have sodium nitrate and sodium nitrite. It's a preservative that keeps it so it doesn't go sour. Mainly the fats they will get bad before the meat does.
I use a fair amount of that Tender Quick. You can't always get it at Myers, but Glenn's in town usually has it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find.
It's in a blue bag down by the kosher salts and that kind of thing. And it says Tender Quick right on it.
People use it for candy, so in the fall it's kind of
Yeah. Yeah. If you go to Morton's website, they'll show you all kinds of different uses for it, and they'll help you understand what it is. Okay? It's a great website.
What do they use it for canning for?
well, up here we can a lot of venison and a lot of
Okay,
meat.
that's what I was wondering.
We use it for.
Okay, I use about half of that. It's all swollen up. It's got a lot of the juice in it. You can see that it's starting to come out. Well, you can't see, but it's starting to come out on the tray. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my actual application of my mustard. And we use mustard mainly to hold the rub on, okay? It's really not for flavor because you won't taste any of it. But I'm going to use yellow mustard. I'm going to hit all four sides. And the mustard also has an acid because it's got vinegar. And it helps break the meat down a little bit. You happy? You want some more?
I don't care.
We're good. We're good. So this is your basic. If you don't want to inject and you just want to mop, you might not want to inject or mop either one. This is an extra step, the injection. If you don't do anything but put the mustard on and the dry rub, that's good enough. That'll be perfect pork. You can pick it up with a little, like when you finish it with a little sweet chili sauce, you can do that. That brings the flavor out. And then I'm just going to pick what I think, I want to use probably the championship. These are our 5 rubs on sales.
He's going to sprinkle that on there. This one's a Memphis, and one of my favorites. It's got some dried Worcestershire. Yeah, go ahead and sample it if you like. It's dried Worcestershire, onion, salt, garlic. Just a really cool, if you ever eat a Memphis barbecue, that dials you in pretty nicely. You don't have to get spice genius to get it down. The next one is Kansas City Sweet. And that's what it is. It's sweet, but it's got some heat. The other one's Touch Cherry. Really nice with fish. It's very sweet. A little bit salty, but a lot of sugar. And definite distinct cherry flavor. And then the other one's all-purpose. I don't know what that's for.
Paprika base, salt, sugar. You'll have to wipe this off with a paper towel.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay, that's basically all you do to pork butt. You know, optional to mop, optional to inject. If you're cooking your first pork butt, forget the injection, forget the mop. Pay attention to the basic application of rub and mustard. Do that. You can do it overnight. It's not a deal breaker. I think it adds more flavor if you let it set overnight and then reapply some more rub right before you put it on. But if you just, most of the time when I do anything, I'm putting it on right as soon as I get it done. Now, you don't want to let it sit out and get room temperature because all meat, every single meat there is, only takes smoke up to 140 degrees. And your refrigerator better be at 41 degrees or below. So you got from 41 degrees up to 140 degrees to get that smoke in there. Alright? After 140 degrees, if you still have smoke coming out of your smoker, that's piling up on the outside of the meat and it's going to turn black and it's going to be real bitter. If you ever been to a low-class barbecue restaurant that don't give their barbecue a lot of love, they tend to over-smoke. They'll smoke with green wood. You want to make sure all your wood's dried out when you smoke with it. Green wood will give it a bitter taste. You know, if you got a soft piece of wood, a piece of apple or something's been laying out in the backyard, and you smoke with it, and it's got some doty stuff to it, that'll make it real bitter. So probably your best bet is to come up here and buy good and clean wood that you can trust the source from Dave, and we'll talk about woods later. So that's done. I'm going to put it on a smoker, and this probably will not be in PowerPoint, so I'm going to tell you. The whole secret to getting this pork butt done is cooking it to 200 degrees. All right? If you cook it to 185 degrees, you're going to have to slice it. You're not going to be able to pull it. Okay? When you cook it to 200 degrees, it's going to pull out real nice. You're going to have a lot of bark, and that's the main thing we want to do. That bark is our spice and our smoke. So when you cook it to that temperature, that bone will just pull right out. And you'll see when we do the finishing techniques tonight. Okay, there's two temperatures that you want to pay attention to. That's the internal temperature of the meat, most important. That's where you know where you're at in your cooking stage. And the cooking temperature of your pit. So otherwise the heat around it. Don't get them confused. If you're confused about what I'm talking about, because sometimes I do that, just ask, just like you did.
So that would be just a little bit over rare for beef.
Right. Everything's got a safe temperature to it. Just like pork, you can eat it at 145 degrees. You know, it used to be 160 degrees a few months ago. The thing about pork is, and I worked with the Kansas Pork Association last week, and I learned some of this. I knew some of it. But all of our hogs are grown, 98% of our hogs are grown inside today. Okay? On concrete floors, they're not laying in the mud. They've got fresh water. They get fresh water sprayed on them all day long. They've got fresh water they're drinking. They're not slopping in a bunch of, and what they've done is they've bred out the trichinosis, okay? Remember when we had to cook it and everybody's so worried about it? Anytime you cook pork, pork's really a good option today because beef's so expensive and pork is really affordable. But when you used to cook pork to 160 degrees and people overdo it, like my wife, she'd cook it to 190, pork chops, pork loins. I leave the thermometer, I think I left my thermometer somewhere. I leave the thermometer right by the stove, and she always overcooks stuff. And I explained to her, just use the thermometer. When you're cooking indoors, use the thermometer. A lot of recipes are overcooking, but when you're cooking pork chops, pork loins, pork tenderloins, go to 145, get it out of there. I guarantee you that it will raise 5 to 10 degrees within 3 minutes after you get it out. Every meat will, okay? So, yes sir.
On the thermometers?
Yes.
The injection, infrared, do you have any preferences?
For
the thermometer.
For the handheld thermometer and check the meat, I will talk about thermometers and food temperatures after we eat. That's a very important part of it, okay? First of all, I'll talk just a little bit about it since we brought it up. I like the digital thermometers, okay? Because the round ones, they get out of calibration, you don't know it. The digitals, they're usually either on or they're way off, okay? And you need 2 thermometers. Always have 2 thermometers because you're always going to have that question in your mind, is that right? Can that be right? And so you're going to end up overcooking it or undercooking it because you just have in your mind that it should be done by now or it doesn't look done. Thermometers don't lie. 1 might, 2 won't. So always use 2 thermometers to check, okay? Well, let's go on to brisket. Yeah, that's a big mosquito there, Bob.
They grow big up here, Rob.
Yeah.
Rob's going to go out on a Great Lake tomorrow for the first time in his life. He hails from Topeka, Kansas. And he's never been out on a body of water like that, so I'm going to catch him some walleye. I'm going to take him back to my place in Lowell. We're going to have his fish fry.
Okay, types of brisket to buy. There's one kind of brisket you don't want to buy unless you know that you cooked them before and you've had success with them, and that's a brisket flat. We cooked a couple brisket flats today. Chris has cooked them before, he's okay with it, he knows how to handle them. Flats are, well, I'm just going to show you. This is called a packer brisket. It's untrimmed packer brisket. So it's got the flat, which is this meat here. Can you see how grainy that is? When you cut that flat, you always, and I'll show you how to cut it tonight, you always want to cut across the grain. You can cook a perfect brisket, but if you cut it with the grain when you're eating it, it'll be real stringy, okay?